The eyes are a deep, deep ocean with whirlpools and violent winds, and shadow beneath the surface, and sea monsters deep within. My boat is sailing in mindfulness. I vow to hold the tiller firmly so that I will not drown in the ocean of foam. Using my conscious breath, I guard my eyes for my protection and for yours, so that today continues to be a beautiful day, and tomorrow we will still have each other. The ears in the ocean of sound, the tongue in the ocean of taste, the nose in the ocean of smell, the body in the ocean of touch, the mind in the ocean of dharmas.
Để không đắm chìm trong biển sắc mênh mông. Using my breath, cùng hơi thở nhiệm màu, tôi hộ trì nhãn công, giữ gìn cho tôi và giữ gìn cho anh, để cho ngày hôm nay còn tươi sáng, và để ngày mai chúng ta sẽ vẫn còn có nhau. Tay là đại dương sâu với đất sông ngầm, với những loài thủy quái, với những trận cuồng phong. Thuyền tôi đi trong chánh niệm, my boat sail in mindfulness. Xin nguyện nắm vững tay chèo, để không đắm chìm trong biển tiếng mênh mông. Cùng hơi thở nhiệm màu, tôi hộ trì nhĩ căn, giữ gìn cho tôi và giữ gìn cho anh, để cho ngày hôm nay còn tươi sáng, và để ngày mai chúng ta sẽ vẫn còn có nhau. Lưỡi là đại dương sâu với những đất sông ngầm, với những loài thủy quái, với những tràng cuồng phong. Thuyền tôi đi trong chánh niệm, xin nguyện nắm vững tay chèo, để không đắm chìm trong biển vì mênh mông, not to be drowned in the ocean of pain. Cùng hơi thở nhiệm màu, tôi hộ trì thiện không, giữ gìn cho tôi và giữ gìn cho anh, để cho ngày hôm nay còn tươi sáng, và để ngày mai chúng ta sẽ vẫn còn có nhau. Thân là đại dương sâu, my body is an ocean, với những đợt sóng ngầm, với những loài thủy quái, với những tràng cuồng phong. Thuyền tôi đi trong chánh niệm, xin nguyện nắm vững tay chèo để không đắm chìm trong biển xúc mênh mông. I vow not to be drowned in the ocean of passion. I use my breath to protect my body, so that I still be myself, and you will be yourself, and we can help each other, and we will have each other for a long time. Cùng hơi thở nhiệm màu, tôi hộ trì thắng căn, giữ gìn cho tôi và giữ gìn cho anh, để cho ngày hôm nay còn tươi sáng, và để ngày mai chúng ta sẽ vẫn còn có nhau. Ý là đại dương sâu, my consciousness, với những đợt sóng ngầm, với những loài thủy quái, với những tràng cuồng phong. Thuyền tôi đi trong chánh niệm, xin nguyện nắm vững tay chèo để không đắm chìm trong biển pháp mênh mông. Cùng hơi thở nhiệm màu, tôi hộ trì ý cao, giữ gìn cho tôi và giữ gìn cho anh, để cho ngày hôm nay còn tươi sáng, và để ngày mai chúng ta sẽ vẫn còn có nhau.
I hope it's not too boring for you, young people. The other day I was talking to the young people about how to arrange flowers. Today I will continue. And this is also for the adults. And whenever you think that you have heard enough of the Dhamma talk, you are welcome to stand up, make a bow, and go out slowly. Okay. Arranging flowers is an art. And when we arrange flowers, we arrange ourselves. And that is the practice. If we know how to handle flowers, and then we would know how to handle the people around us and ourselves, because we are all flowers. The flowers may be tied some time, but if we know how to handle them, they will be fresh again and beautiful again. And this art of arranging flowers is called the school of non-duality of flower arrangement. Beauty is the aim of our art, of our action. We want to arrange flowers because we want life beautiful. And what I mean by beauty is, first of all, stability. Stability. Without stability, well, beauty cannot be there. Because when we are not stable, we don't feel safe. And therefore, we are unable to see the beauty of anything at all. And a flower pot should look stable. But if we are not stable within ourselves, the flower pot that we arrange will not be stable. And that you can observe and you can see. Looking at the flower arrangement, you can see how much stability that emanates from that flower pot. And therefore, you arrange a pot of flower and you look at the flower and you see how stable you are within. And if you continue to arrange flowers following our breathing and smiling, our stability will increase. And as our stability will increase, the stability that we see in our work will increase too. So the arranger, the flower arranger, and the flower that is arranged, they become one. And that is the meaning of non-duality. A flower is arranging the flower without and the flower within at the same time. The second characteristic of beauty is harmony. So if you don't see the element of harmony in a flower pot, and then it is not well arranged. And when you look at the flower pot, you see the degree of harmony that exists in the flower pot. And that degree of harmony depends on the harmony within. And therefore, if you continue to breathe and smile and arrange the flowers, harmony will be increased within, and it will be manifested in the flowers we arrange. The third element of beauty is peace. A flower pot that gives the impression of peace is a good flower pot. Well, if you take a bunch of flowers and you just introduce into the pot, and you step back a few steps and you look, you don't see peace, you see war, because the flowers are fighting each other. So arranging in such a way that there is a harmony between the flowers and there is peace in the flowers, among the flowers. And as you continue to breathe and smile and arrange the flowers, the peace in yourself increases, and the peace in the flower pot will be apparent. And during the time you arrange the flowers, you practice non-duality, you practice non-violence, and you practice joy. and flower arranging is a meditation. Takes time to do that. Arranging a pot of flower is not to have a pot of flower. Arranging a pot of flower is just to arrange a pot of flower. The end is the means, is the end itself. And arranging a pot of flower is not to have only to have a pleasure of having a beautiful pot of flower, but to have the pleasure of arranging the flowers. So we should have enough time, allowed enough time to arrange a pot of flower. If it is half an hour, and then we take half an hour just arranging the flowers. And during that time we are practicing true meditation. We don't need to finish quickly in order to sit on our cushion in order to call ourselves meditating. So someone who understands that would not say, well, it has been 1 hour since you begin to arrange that flower pot. Saying like that is a very big blow to the person who is practicing. So we, the people who do not arrange flowers, have to understand and to respect the time and the peace and the quiet that is needed very much for the one who is arranging flower. But if other members of the family do not know how to appreciate the flower arrangement, and then that person will be discouraged and she will stop arranging flowers. Therefore, your mindfulness, your reconnection of the flower pot, your words, your respect of the time and the peace of the flower arranger are conditions that produce the flower arranger. So although you are not flower arrangers, you arrange flowers through the flower arranger. So we distinguish between the flower arranger and the non-flower arrangers. And that distinction is false, because although we do not arrange flowers, but if we have the capacity of appreciation, and then it is us who arrange the flowers. If we don't do that, that person will stop arranging flowers one day. Non-duality between arrangers and non-arrangers. If the husband is arranging flower and the wife just smiling at him, both are arranging flowers. The smile is a smile of appreciation and support. And therefore, if you are not the one who pick the flower, who select the pot, who spend the time with the flowers, but if you know how to appreciate, to say words of appreciation, to sit minutes in front of the flower pot, well, you are a real flower arranger also. Therefore, non-duality between flower arrangers and non-arrangers. And then we should also know that if that person in the family practice breathing, practice smiling, practice walking and getting calmer and more pleasant to be with, and if we know the value of that practice, if we don't practice ourselves, but we see the value of that practice, we appreciate one member of the family practicing smiling, breathing and sitting like that. So we are supporters. We profit from the calm, the joy, the smile of that person. So we are somehow a practicer too. And therefore, the person who is practicing is arranging flowers of the heart. And we as supporters, we help arranging the flowers in the heart. Not only his heart or her heart, but our own heart. Because one smile, the whole family profit. Not only the person who smiles profit from her smile, but we all in the family, we profit from your smiling. Then there is the moment when we arrange flowers, and there are moments when we do not arrange flowers. This kind of distinction is to be considered also. When I write a short story or a book, I might distinguish that there are times when I sit down in front of a piece of paper and I actually write it. And there are times when I do not write, but I do other things like washing my clothes, watering my lettuce, and binding some books. But if I look more deeply, I do not see the difference. I was writing my short story while I was watering the lettuce, or washing my dishes or my clothes. The time when you sit down and you write your short story, it is considered to be the final period of writing. The beginning of the writing is not when you sit down, when you live your life and you observe. It's like you carry the baby in you during the time of 9 months, and the moment you give birth to the baby is just the final moment. So writing a story is like that. You carry the story in you, and while you are watering the vegetable, while you pull the weeds from your vegetable garden, while you wash your clothes, well, you are actually writing that story. For me, it's very clear. And the same thing is true with arranging flowers. The time when you practice walking meditation, the time when you practice looking at bushes, at flowers, at the blue sky, at the form of the clouds. In these moments, you are arranging flowers. And that is why when you sit down, the beauty of your flower pot will come. And therefore, it is during the time we do not sit down and arrange flowers that we are truly arranging the flowers. Well, you recognize the form, the color, the shapes, the beauty of each branch, each rock, while you practice just walking meditation. And the moment you sit down and arrange flowers, you just put these things together in such a way that is already there within yourself. It's like when you go into a shop and buy a necktie. You think that you buy the necktie at that moment, and you pass in review of hundreds of neckties like this, and you have the feeling that it is the moment when you choose the necktie that you like, but in fact it's not. Everything is determined already before you go into the shop. Your idea of beauty, your sense of harmony, aesthetics is already there. And when you present yourself in front of the row of necktie, suddenly you are caught by one of them. It is the necktie that chooses you, and not you the necktie. So when you sit down and arrange the flowers, well, the beauty of the flower arrangement depends on the time when you do not arrange flowers. The time when you wash the dishes, you breathe, you go around, you look at the trees, the branch, the flowers, and so on. So there is another distinction line to be removed from the art. Time to arrange and time not for not arranging. The third distinction is the distinction between flower and non-flowers. And we know already that the garbage is counted among non-flowers. And we know that without the garbage, the flowers cannot be. Therefore, a flower arranger which sees deeply into the nature of things will see flowers in the garbage and garbage in the flowers. So there is no discrimination, no running away from one thing and running after another thing. And therefore, a true flower arranger should recognize flower in non-flower elements. I remember at the Ojai Foundation during a retreat for artists, one very special flower arrangement was presented to us before the Dharma talk. And I saw banana peels, I saw sawdust, I saw eggshells together with the flowers. There was one person who said, maybe that is a disrespect to the Buddha if you present on the altar and flowers and banana peels and eggshells. I said, no, this is the utmost respect. It shows that you understand the Dharma, and the Buddha will be delighted to receive this flower arrangement. And the young people were asked last week to arrange flowers with a piece of garbage and a flower. But I recommended them to use something like a dead branch. A dead branch is a flower that is on its way into the garbage, because the dead branch will decompose and become the compost in order to nourish the garbage. I asked the children to go into the wood and bring with them a glass of fresh water. And the time after they pick the flower, they should put it right away in a glass of water, so that the flower be nourished right after that. Otherwise, the cells at the end of the stem will dry out, and communication between flower and water will be more difficult 1 hour after. So I told the children to respect the flower, bow to the flower before they pick it, and after picking, put it into the water for nourishment, and then go and look for a piece of garbage, and bow also to the piece of garbage. Just they have bowed to the flower and bring the piece of garbage back and sit down in the half lotus position and try to arrange these two things. And after that, draw me a picture of him sitting in front of the pot of flower and sign his name. So the one who is capable of arranging flowers in that way will not discriminate against the garbage, which is a potential source for flowers. Because although the garbage do not smell good, but if you know how to handle them, they will be transformed into flowers, lettuce and cucumbers in just a few months. And we know that there are people who are able to arrange flowers and non-flowers elements. A rock is not a flower. A non-flower, it is a non-flower. But if you know how to do it, a rock become a flower. A rock can help to make the flower more apparent. A dead branch also. So in winter, there's not many flowers, and you can use some dead branch and just one green leaf or something like that, and you convey the belief that life is always there, ready to spring out, and so on. And with that kind of non-discrimination concerning flower and non-flowers, you'll be able to remove also the distinction between matter and space. So we believe that space is where we can place matter. But in fact, matter is made of space, and space of matter. That is the new language of modern science. We may think that we do not have enough flowers to make a flower arrangement. How many flowers do we need in order to make a good flower arrangement? 3 or 4 or 5 or 10? I think you know that even without any flower, we can arrange flowers. Just a leaf, just a branch, and with rocks, with the earth, with other elements, we can arrange flowers beautifully. The bonsai, you need a plant, but the bồn thạch, I don't know the Japanese. The bồn thạch, you need only rocks and soil and sand, and it is a true flower arrangement. You need a few rocks, a handful of sand, a few water, a little bit of water, and then space is very important. If you do not allow enough space between the two things, and then you oppress the flowers, you oppress the branches, you oppress everything that is there. That is why space is so important. And if you are aware of the necessity of space, you see that space, you create matter. And if you know the art of arranging space, you arrange matter, but you are really arranging space. You create a sense of freedom, of emancipation in the heart of the people who are contemplating the flower arrangement. So arranging space is arranging flower. There was a very rich lady in New York City. She bought many things. And she did not have enough space to store these things. I think our Vietnamese friends should learn this, because from time to time they go to the flea market and saw very cheap things. They have extra money. They say, "Wow! If I don't buy this, it's so cheap." In Vietnam, you cannot get that price. So you buy them until you have no space to breathe. So you have to arrange flowers in such a way that you can have air and space to move around in your home. The refugees, they don't have a big house, but they buy so many things from the flea market. And when they buy the Buddha statue, they don't have any place to put, and they put it on the television set. But that lady learned quite a lot. The New Yorker, she learned quite a lot. And one time, years before, she bought a piece of land very close to her house in Manhattan. And she wanted to build something fancy in that piece of land, because that piece of land was very expensive. She bought it, and she was thinking of building something worthwhile. But finally she learned, and the final decision is not to build anything at all on that piece of land. And from her house, which is adjacent to that land, she has a very beautiful view, and she has space to breathe. And people say that, well, the best thing she bought in all her life is that piece of land where she did not build anything at all. She has learned the art of flower arrangement. She was arranging space so that her life will be more pleasant. So when you arrange flowers, please arrange space, because arranging space is truly arranging flowers, so that you can breathe, so that your eyes can rest and can experience the feeling of emancipation and of harmony. Because stability is important, but harmony and peace is equally important. In classical flower arrangement, we distinguish three elements: sky, earth, and man. And one branch should symbolize sky, one branch, which is lower, would symbolize earth, nature, and one flower in the middle will represent the humankind. If you learn the art of flower arrangement, you will learn things like that. But in the school of non-duality of flower arrangement, this distinction will vanish, because man contains heaven and earth contains heaven and man, and so on. So you don't need to follow that kind of pattern. In the Vietnamese tradition, most house has what we call a nong bo, means a miniature mountain, island, mountain, placing on a basin of water. Well, the people in the countryside, or in the old time, most of the space is countryside. The city was very small, and people have a piece of land around their home. They plant coconut trees and areca trees and jackfruit trees and things like that. But usually in the front yard there is a basin of water where they grow fish, small fish, pink fish, and so on. And above that, a mountain, a small mountain containing all forms of life in there. If you look carefully, you see a fisherman sitting very calmly and quietly, waiting for the fish to bite. But is he fishing really, or he just sit there and enjoy sky and earth and practice breathing meditation? We don't know, because he has been there for a long time without catching a fish. And if you look into the wood, you see a logger is there with his axe on his shoulder. He looks like a philosopher, looking at trees, listen to the birds. And in the legends, in the fairy tales, in the stories, all stories of Vietnam, many loggers were philosophers or politicians who have had enough of politics and life in the society, so they withdraw and live very simply with that kind of job, just cutting the wood and sell them. Like Trần Khánh Dư, he made charcoal in order to sell in the market, and nobody recognized him as a bright politician. So you recognize yourself in these characters. You see two old men with white barbs, long like this, sitting on a piece of rock and playing chess. They have been playing chess for 1,000 years. And that image is very typical image in Vietnam. And you see it everywhere. The aged people, when they arrive at that kind of age, well, everything is taken care of. The children, they just enjoy themselves with poetry, with the moonlight, with the walk around the garden, and especially sit very close to that Nong Bo, miniature mountain and ocean. And have tea and they play chess. And peace emanates from that kind of being. And the presence of such people in the family is a blessing for all of us. They don't do anything, but their presence bring a lot of comfort to the younger generations. So in the Nong Bo, in that tiny mountain, we see everything. We see a Buddhist temple. We see a monk practicing walking meditation in the compound of the mountain. And you know that none of us had the opportunity to buy an air ticket and to go abroad. So we are visiting the whole world just by going around that miniature mountain. And imagine that we are up in the sky, we are down in the ocean, we are a little bit everywhere, just having that miniature landscape in us. That is a very dear tradition to the Vietnamese. If you go to Vietnam now, you can still discover a number of these things that are still carefully preserved. But modern families, they don't have that. They are too busy working to have money and to stuff their house with things from the flea market. So a good flower arranger will be able to see in one element the presence of other elements. They don't need many things. They need just one or two or three in order to symbolize, to represent every other things. And nature and man are not two separate entities. Nature and sky are the same thing, and the sky and man are the same thing, and therefore humans are deeply integrated into nature, and human is not an enemy of nature anymore, a destructor of nature anymore. Now I would like to say something more about the influence between the flower arranger and the flower. First of all, it is because of his mindfulness or her mindfulness that the flower can reveal herself more clearly. If we are not mindful, the flowers don't exist, even they are there. So our mindfulness is the first ingredient for our flower pot. Because with mindfulness, we walk and we recognize flowers as flowers. So thanks to humans, that flowers can reveal their beauty in its entirety, in its splendor. But thanks to the flowers, that men suffer, that humans suffer less, because flowers are so fresh, so beautiful, that is why we profit from the flowers. And therefore, the flowers help humans, and the humans help the flowers to be, so interbeing. But the flowers can be seen in people around us. In fact, each person is a flower. Not only children, but adults are flowers. I said that sometimes the flowers are tired, but because we don't take good care of them, that is why they don't smile. They cry a lot. They try to hide themselves away from us. So it is our duty to take care of these flowers around us, flowers that can go around, that can bring us a lot of happiness if we provide them with a chance. In Plum Village, from time to time, we practice arranging people. I remember that day I asked Jose, the violin player, to come as a flower. He's a very tall man. And then I asked other young people to come, and children in that beautiful dress, and they come in the middle of the meditation hall. And I asked one person in the community to come and arrange these people into a flower pot. So there will be children who stand and with their hands like this. The children will do like this. And after 10 minutes, we had a beautiful flower pot made exclusively of people. Why don't we try it here with the children, European, American, and Vietnamese children? Why don't come together and arrange yourself into a pot of flower for us to enjoy? It's a good idea. Yeah, let us do that. And we will provide you with space. The space is very important. I think the Dharma Nectar Hall may provide us with enough space for that type of flower arrangement. We will not occupy a lot of space. We will sit very close to the wall and let you have enough place to arrange yourself as flowers. Okay? Good. At a retreat, I help conduct in the San Francisco Zen Center. In fact, it is Green Gold Farm. During the last tea meditation, people presented their insight gatha, and there was a lady who presented a beautiful gatha. I don't remember the whole gatha, but it begins by this sentence: I have lost my smile, but the dandelion still has it. I have lost my smile, but the dandelion still has it. Well, if we don't practice, if we don't live mindfully, if we let the seeds of sorrow come up too often, and then my smile might be lost. But if you begin to practice mindfulness again, you realize that it's not entirely lost. The flower still keeping it for you. And the moment when you realize the flower is there, kept for you by the dandelion, and you smile and you get your smile back. That's the very basic principle of the practice. You lose your smile and you get it back by getting in touch. And when we practice sitting or walking meditation, we just do that. We try to get back our smile because we know that the smile is somewhere there, kept by flowers, and flowers and flowers to be, kept by flowers and flowers to bees. So practicing breathing, being mindful, and you recognize that there are a lot of things that do not go wrong in our world. We are sick because we see everything go wrong. We are depressed. But in fact, with mindfulness, you recognize that there are so many things that do not go wrong. And that is a comfort. And if you are able to get in touch with these wonderful things, still fresh, still healing, still magnificent, and then you can recover your health, your love, your trust very quickly. And that is the art of arranging flowers. Yourself, who are a true flower. And if you take care of your flower, you will become fresh, smiling, and then you will recognize people around you as flowers too. And by that way, you have rearranging these flowers and making them smile again. And the other day, talking in Vietnamese, I said, well, the first thing is to recognize them as flowers. If you don't recognize him or her as flowers, she'll go away. He will all go away. And that's we have to realize it's our lack of mindfulness. I don't want to say it's our fault. I like to say it is our lack of mindfulness that caused our beloved to leave us alone. So the crucial thing is to recognize him or her as flower, and then you will know how to protect and to make the flower bloom. In the West, you have a festival called Valentine, and you say, "Be my Valentine." You can say in this respect, "Be my flower." You are my flower, and you have to arrange your flower every day, giving her enough space, enough freedom. Now I would like to sum up the things I said in a more concrete way as a guide to flower arrangement. The best way to arrange flowers is to go back to yourself and produce a state of being that is called the oneness of body and mind. When you sit down and begin to arrange flowers, the first thing you do is to arrange yourself. It means you have to go back to your breathing. Breathing in and out in order to recuperate your mind and your body. Mind and body have to be there at the same time. It means you pull yourself together before you touch the flowers. And in that state of of oneness of being, well, you are qualified to touch the flowers because you are a flower yourself. And that is the first fruit of Buddhist practice of meditation. Breathing, recovering yourself, and realize what we call the oneness of body and mind. Be present. Be present. That is the first mot d'ordre. And then when you are yourself smiling like that, you begin to touch the flower and you begin to make the flower reveal themselves in their entirety. Now you are really seeing them. And when you see the flowers, you know how to arrange them so that they can be happy, in harmony, in peace. And you will provide them with space and so on. It's very important to make the flowers reveal themselves. And the first thing to do is to be yourself with the breathing. There's a story about an artist who was very fond of lotus flowers and who want to learn how to paint lotus flowers. He told his student to sit there by the pond and just look at the lotus and breathe. From the morning to the evening, just observing the lotus when they open, and then still sit there and look. I think the teacher did allow him to have a lunch break. Success. It means that true art must be based on deep observation, and deep observation has the roots in mindfulness. If you sit there breathing and pay attention to what is going on, you will notice all the details, all the colors, all the lines, and then you become one with what you want to draw. You and the lotus flower become one thing, and at that point you don't need to sit there any longer. You are the lotus, and when you hold the brush, the lotus just come out like that. So if you are a flower, the more beautiful the flower will reveal itself in your art of flower arrangement. And if you arrange flowers in that mode, during the time of arranging flowers, you establish peace and harmony and happiness in your family, in your community, and people looking at you will feel peace and harmony and happiness. You don't have to do a lot of things, you just arrange flowers. And as you exhibit the flowers, you exhibit the harmony, the peace, and the reconciliation through your work. And also you strengthen the peace, the harmony, and reconciliation in your own heart. And arranging flowers like that is building up your sangha, building up your family, the happiness of your family in a very substantial way. When you have finished your flower pot, you know that you should have some place to put it. And if your house is filled with things that you bought from the flea market, and then what is the use of arranging flowers? So you have to arrange your house. And when you arrange your house, you are determined not to buy many things from the flea market. That is the other aspect of flower arrangement. A good flower arranger would not only look at the flowers, the rocks, the pot, but she looks at her house first. And when she look at her house, she look at her heart, and she knows that she should not buy so many things. So that the true flower pot will have its place in the house. And therefore, you see, she was arranging flowers just even before she cut the flowers. Because the place to put the flower pot is the flower itself. And doing like that, you create harmony, not only among the flowers, but among you and your home, among you and other members of your family. That is true flower arrangement. And then just thinking of arranging flowers, you arrange everything and you establish harmony and reconciliation within your community, your family. Therefore, the room, the house where you put the flower pot, the flowers, and also the people that will enjoy the flowers. All these things have to be arranged or rearranged. And we have to use the very elements that are available in our environment. We should not buy flowers from Singapore. We should not say that the young boy in the neighborhood is doing much better than you, my son. We should not do like that. We should not say that the flower over there is more beautiful. We should use imported flowers. We have to make our own son into a beautiful flower. We have to recognize him as a flower. We should use only the things that are there as flowers. It may not be a pleasant thing for the flower shop, but anything you find in your garden can be used as flowers. And of course, the people in your family should be regarded as the most precious flowers to be arranged. And arranging that way is not very expensive in terms of money, but the effect is very great. The quality of peace and harmony and happiness will be very, very high. There is an idea concerning who is more important than who, husband or wife, sister, big sister or younger sister, who works harder in order to feed the family, who is holding the secondary role in the family. Which flower is the main flower and which flower is the auxiliary flower? Because there is a school of flower arrangement in China that use the image of cô chủ, the lady landlord, the lady, the young lady, the young master of the house, which is a lady, and the servant. cô chủ và nữ tỳ. Anh Chí dịch làm sao? Nữ tỳ, the servant. The servant is also dressed beautifully, but she is a servant. But the other girl, she is a girl, but she is different because she is the master. She is the daughter of the master, and she is the master. And according to that school, the lady, the young lady should stand up high, beautiful, and the servant, although beautiful, has to be lower, and its role is to provide a kind of contrast in order for people to see the splendor of the lady. But we cannot accept such an idea that one person only serve in order to help the other person to reveal her splendor. And therefore, we have to practice the principle of non-duality in arranging flowers. We say that it may be one flower may be higher than the other flower, but we will not have that kind of idea that one is serving the other. If this flower is helping the other to stand out in its beauty, and that flower also, the other flower also has to help this flower to stand out in her beauty. There are a few things I would like to say in order to sum up. First of all, we have to use the materials that are available. The second thing is to have space for every flower in the pot. Space and freedom for every child in the family, for our husband, for our wife, so that they can breathe and they can move. In the moment when they feel that they are bound by so many things, they lose their freedom and their smile will vanish. The flowers are the same. And therefore we should not preserve space. And we should be aware that space is making matter, and matter needs space to be. On the petal of a flower, you may like to use your finger. You can dip your finger into the water and you offer to the flower one drop of water on one of her petals, and that is the Yorkshire dewdrop that represent the non-flower elements that are always there to nourish the flowers. And maybe in the afternoon when it is too dry, that drop of dewdrop will disappear, and then you come and renew the operation, taking a drop of water and put on another petal of the flower. And attentive people will be aware of these things. And when you do that with a flower, you will learn how to do that with your child or your husband, your wife. There are other things, but I think it's time now to walk in order to arrange flowers by walking meditation.